Boom. Yes, I should have got it right with the audio for once. This could also be the fifth time when I say yes, I got the audio right, and then I didn't. What's up, guys? Theo here, Uncommon Sense. Um, yeah, hi, Fish. Hello, Funny and Random Hood videos. Hello, personal account, formerly known as Funny Valorant Moments, from the last stream. And hello to you others watching. Please like if you haven't already. I see we have a couple handfuls or something here, so that's good. Yeah, I have questions written down from the last stream and that I've collected in other places. But it seems like personal account here is shooting hard already, so that's good. Um, so the first question was, how are you? I'm good. Can I do a barrage of questions? I said yes in text. Um, so okay. Um, First question, personal account. What do you think about MGTOW? So that would be men going their own way. Well, I I'm not too like I don't know too well exactly what MGTOW entails, but from what I recall when it was more of a new thing, it's one of these things that I don't really like. That it's just a counter reaction to something that so often ends up being just a mirror image of the thing it's reacting to. It doesn't really present a good alternative, in my opinion. It's sort of like, you know, well, if this thing is shitty, I'll do my opposite thing. That's also shitty. Um, yeah, the MGTOW thing, it's like you're supposed to not, it's kind of anti-woman sentiment. I think it's so much one thing when you speak clearly about men and women, masculinity and femininity, and you're just honest about differences and you have opinions and you say, no, women are a bit like this. Women have a more to work on with this, but you do it with the men as well. And I just feel like MGTOW is one of those things, just kind of a toxic counter reaction to, you know, the establishment, the hardcore feminism shit. That I of course don't like either, but I try to take sort of a third position here, not always become the mirror image of whatever you don't like, because that's just it's just an inverted thing. So without knowing too much exactly what MGTOW would be, from what I remember of it and that, I don't like it. It's sort of a bad red pill kind of thing. Um, okay. um, so you get lots of questions here, but that's good. Personal account, would you collab with the golden one? I asked him once. I don't think I got a response. I asked him like a year ago or something. Maybe if I reached out through, I know people who know him personally. So maybe, like it would be interesting. I don't know too much of that guy either. It's just someone I've seen for quite some time without ever like looking at a lot of videos. People keep bringing him up to me, and I'm sure we could have an interesting conversation. So if you guys go and recommend that to him, maybe that would be good, helpful. I see more people dropping in. Please like if you haven't already. Bring some questions in the chat. And so then personal account asks, are you vaccinated and thoughts on the vaccine? I'm not. I'm so happy about that. I think it's like over 90% here in Sweden that are. And while, my thoughts on it, like mainly I think just that whole thing with the so-called pandemic was kind of a test to see how far can we push people? How much can we just scare people and make them do what we want? And then I'm not sure if I think this jab is very dangerous or something. I mean, it seems like there are some side effects, but it's again the people that are anti-establishment might sometimes exaggerate like the dangers of a thing like that. We'll wait and see now. It might be a long-term thing, of course, but mainly I just feel like because it's something I really felt I don't need it, I don't want it. And it's one thing to sometimes have to kind of bend the knee to something like, okay, I have to go along with this thing right now. I know I don't truly agree with it, but I do it now. Sometimes that's the right thing to do, but this I just felt like it was such a violation. Injecting something foreign into your body, permanently changing yourself when you don't want to. So I think that whole thing was mostly a way to see how much can we control people, how much will they just dance to our tunes here if we scare them enough. And I didn't take it. I'm super happy about that. Personal account. Favorite Donkey Kong game? Well, it's definitely the entire Donkey Kong Country series to Super Nintendo is great. The music is great. Um, I mean, the, the second one, but the Game Boy version that was called Land, they made these like sort of remakes of some Super Nintendo games to Game Boy. I mean, were often called Land. Um, or I mean, there were some Super Mario Land I think were completely original games, but the Donkey Kong Land games were sort of remakes of the country games. I got the second one first, so it has holds like a dear place in my heart for that reason. Um, but honestly, I think I like the first one the most. Probably I would rank them. Actually, they just get worse. Probably one, two, three. But I like them all. They're all great. And those are really the best ones, you know. Like Donkey Kong 64 was promising. It was okay, but the controls weren't really good, you know. The country series, and the one I would have to say is the best. Funny and random hood videos. Super Mario or Sonic? Well, I had to go with Super Mario. I was brought up with a Nintendo, even though I played a bit of Sega at friends' places, you know. Sonic is good too, but Mario, definitely my guy. Personal account. Do you think height matters? What's the best height? Like for who? I mean, girls clearly value height as an important, you know, thing for the guy they're into. I would say probably most girls, even that say that height is important to them, if they meet the right guy and he's not like a complete dwarf and he's like good looking and charming and confident, attractive in other ways, I think they wouldn't care so much about the height. I mean, the best height for what? Like, I am a bit shorter than average in Sweden. I'm 177 centimeters. That's like barely 5'10". People say 5'10" when I say that. The average height for men here is 181. But when I was younger, maybe I felt insecure about, oh, I wish I was taller, just because, you know, some girls like that, you know. Um, but like when we're talking from like a bodybuilding standpoint, I have a pretty good, you know, I'm a little bit shorter, but not short, and I'm kind of broad built. Like so, for bodybuilding purposes, I can look really huge with my height, like just body measurements, you know. So you know, matters. I don't really think it. I could when it comes to girls. Same thing. I maybe make an exception for a girl that's taller than me. If I have a preference, I would want her to not be as tall as me. But you know, I wouldn't really care if she's like 2 centimeters shorter or 20. Um, really. Um, and yeah, so I mean, it is something. It's something to take into consideration, but I don't think it's the most important thing. I think if you're like worried about not being tall enough, like just don't, because this something you're not going to be able to change anyway. But of course, it's one of those things. If you're tall, that we can probably call it that you're gifted, and there was a gift. It's mostly a good thing to be tall, right? Um, Personal account. What do you think about antidepressants and stuff like that? Yeah, so that was one similar question you asked at the end of last stream that I wrote down. I mean, I used to have, when I got into all of this, like this lifestyle, noticing that, okay, we barely didn't need anything of these like products and shit we're using. We're always treating symptoms with pills and stuff, you know, rather than getting to the core issue. And so I was very anti everything like that for a while. And while I would always want, you know, it's not the first place you want to go. Like if you're depressed, for instance, since you asked about antidepressants, and you're not in good physical shape, for instance, well, maybe start there. You know, maybe improve your diet and maybe start lifting some weights, do some walking. You know, maybe try that to begin with. But there are cases when someone really, like everything, every natural thing you can give them to do. It's kind of like I'm already doing that, but I feel depressed as hell. You know, what I would say is it should never be viewed as the solution or like a long-term thing that I just need these antidepressants to go about my life. What I will say though is with something like antidepressants and that, it could be an intervention at the right time, you know. If you're just struggling, you're feeling so down all the time, and if SSRIs, for instance, could put you in a better mood to maybe get going with some things that could help you, then maybe they just kind of what's the, not a catalyst, but kind of give you a little push, give you a little better circumstances to change stuff for you. And when you're up and running with better things, then maybe you go off them and maybe you're fine now. So that I have kind of a nuanced view. That of course we want to try to address it in every natural need, a natural way we can, you know. But I'm not just completely against it like that. It's like with like severe anxiety and shit. Yeah, to some extent, you're gonna have to learn to process this anxiety, but it's so fucking draining for some people. You can't almost do anything. So if you can turn off the anxiety sometimes, maybe that would help, but that shouldn't be the way you have to live your life. So I think this is my answer. The Funny Random Hood video says, this is amazing. Well, I'm glad you think so. Fish says, like and share. Well, yes, please do that. I appreciate that. Yes, personal account. Do you think atheism is one of the worst things someone can be? And causes nihilism and hedonism. Um, yeah, I just thought it was funny. Is it one of the worst things someone can be? But honestly, yeah, like not in a way that I mean, dislike them for that. I see them more as a victim of that, honestly. But yeah, definitely causes nihilism and hedonism. It did in me. You know, my entire story is, you know, brought up with an autistic brother. I suffer a lot from it, but I see his suffering a lot from it. And from what I am told about religion and stuff, I'm like, nah, there can possibly be any God. That's all made up. This world is just an unfortunate coincidence. There's just suffering, blah, blah, blah. So I experienced so much suffering early in life that I can see any point to this. And but I am alive, even though I many times wish I weren't, you know. And then what do you do when you can't find any purpose or meaning? You numb yourself with pleasure. Yes, nihilism. Anything is fucked anyway. Morals are really made up, so I don't really have to be a good person. Not that I wouldn't say I was the worst person ever, but you know, you don't go out of your way to be moral, at least. You kind of almost, when you think there isn't something as right and wrong, and so you almost feel like screwed over if you try to be a good person because that's just made up anyway, and other people are not playing by the rules. And yeah, what do you do when you can't find purpose? You numb yourself with pleasure. That would be hedonism. And yeah, you know, in my case, drinking a lot, lots of just binge watching TV series, video games, weed, porn, trying to hook up, getting drunk and hooking up with a girl every once in a while, surrounding yourself with people with a sort of similar, you know, just are in a similar way. So yeah, and of course, when I found God on the inside, within, I kind of naturally fell away from a lot of those things. So now I had purpose. Wasn't as much of a void. Try to numb yourself out from, you know. So yeah, one of the worst things you could be. Funny and random hood videos. I'm MGTOW, by the way. Okay, and what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? Because now I just know you identify with that label, but what does that mean to you? Personal account. Thoughts on Vari Vikernes, the Norwegian guy. I just remember he was some kind of alt-right sphere-ish kind of guy. Don't know much about him. I just remember seeing his name in places. Personal account. Thoughts on GMOs, genetically modified food, I think is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about it, but of course it never feels good that we go in and alter something naturally. It never seems to work out well when human beings are like, oh, you know what? We know better than God. We know better than nature. They actually made this plant wrong. Let's modify it and it will become better. I'm sure it comes at a price. If you improve certain properties by, you know, modifying a plant, for instance, I'm sure there's a risk of that you're bringing other shit with it. So I would say no, that's not good. Thoughts on fluoride in the water? You know, it's also something I haven't looked into too much. Um, yeah. Uh, I tried to look up like the levels of fluoride, and I think we're okay here in Sweden. I mean Sweden, Stockholm. I mean, um, I don't know enough about it to be honest. It's probably not good. um, yeah. Personal account. Have you ever seen Kenny versus Benny? I actually haven't. Funny and random hood videos. We love Theo. Well, I appreciate that, my man. Adam Lucas. Um, oh, just jump past a lot of stuff here. Yeah. Adam Lucas, what's up, man? Hey, have you heard of Sam Sulek, by the way? I have. I see mostly just little shorts with him, and I've just seen him in my feed before. I don't have much of an impression. I mean, he seems to be doing the hardcore enhanced bodybuilder thing, which if that's what you want to do, and you're not a hypocrite or liar about it, I don't really care. That's up to you. Seems to be kind of a humble, insightful guy. The little clips I see, a calm personality, not all like full of himself, just talking pretty much common sense from what I've seen. He seems like a decent guy. Funny random hood videos, enlightening information. Thank you to you. Well, I appreciate. I'm glad that you think so. A fish says, Coach Theo saves people. I appreciate that too. I hope so. You know, it's like the best feeling ever when someone reaches out and tells me how my videos or anything I've done help them. Um, yeah, because this channel is still quite small, so it's not something that's just raining every day. So, but it's one of the most uplifting things to me. Personal account. What do you think is the best sleeping time? Some people say the hours before 23 counts even more than if sleeping at 4 a.m. Yeah, for sure. I'm a big proponent of going to bed early. Um, I mean, I often, I right now because it just how it. The funny thing is, I kind of let life influence my circadian rhythm within a certain range. But yeah, sleep scientists says that the 2 hours before midnight are like worth twice as much. And in my experience, that's the case. If I would fall asleep at like 10 in the evening and wake up at 4, so I only slept 6 hours, I still have more energy than if I were to fall asleep after midnight and sleep for 8 hours. So when sometimes I've been crazy with it, crazy in some people's eyes, like go to bed at 8, wake up at like 3:30 or 4. Um, but between 8 and 10 is kind of when I usually go to sleep, and right now a little later, just because I just listen to my body. It just happened. Like when I started to go up super early, there was something that just naturally happened too. But yes, my thing is always that everyone should be in bed by 10. And I mean, if you have some job where you have to work shifts or something, it is what it is, but you should be aware of the consequences and hopefully work to change that situation. Street Monk, thoughts about Darian Rider high carb life? Not sure about that. Darian Rider, some guy, I guess, high carb life. Darian Rider, YouTuber. Darian Rider said, go high carb, low fat, low protein, whole food, plant-based diet. Probably not a fan. I don't know much about it. Um, like and subscribe. Yeah, please do that. Funny and random hood videos. Would you have children with a vaccine? You mean with someone who's vaccinated? I've thought about that. I mean, to some extent, it's a risk, right? Yeah, it's a difficult one. But the thing is, too, I mean, I think if I just got together with someone and felt like we're connecting on every level, I'm in love with this person, she wants the same things as me, la la la. It would be hard to just deny that over the vaccine. I think I would have to take the risk. But the other thing I'll say is that it's just so very likely that a woman that's not vaccinated is more on my level, unless she did it and then realized or something, right? But actually, the girls I've been involved with at all had some kind of, involvement with lately tend to not be vaccinated actually. So yeah, that would be my thing. If everything really clicked, um, I don't think I could deny that connection because of the vaccine. But I just think it's very likely that, if you're an unusual person, not within the mainstream, la da 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 da, not having done that is one, thing that aligns with that. Just kind of likely that you'll attract a person that's done it in a similar way, right? Um, what do you think about sun gazing? Don't have too much of an opinion on doing it as a practice like that. I mean, we get light enters through our eyes. It does send some signal to the body. I think just getting morning sun in your eyes, which is getting increasingly difficult in Sweden, of course. It's a little special for us here in the winter. But yeah, getting red sun in your eyes and on your skin is of course good to get started with the day and set your circadian clock. But I don't know much of it as a practice, just standing and looking at the sun otherwise. Thoughts on Charleston White? Don't know who that is. Thoughts on gun rights and American shootings? Well, I definitely think you should be allowed to own guns. Um, that we are not really in Sweden. I mean, unless you're a hunter. Uh, you should have the right to protect yourself. And it's so funny. It's so funny, how all these progressives that think always they're you know, they stand up against oppressors somehow, but they really all their positions align with tyranny. No, 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 no. Don't let the people have guns. Just the government and criminals, of course, that don't care about the law, what's legal. I remember having one conversation with some guys, Swedish guys, because Swedes are really brainwashed on this. Oh, the crazy Americans with their guns. Um, and I remember how shocked they were that my position pretty much was, nah, I think I have a right to protect my property and my family. And they kept throwing things at me, and my response was the same, like, yeah, what you're saying there, I don't see why I should not be able to protect my family because of that. The shootings are, of course, not because guns are legal. That's a mental health issue. Um, and I mean, if you want to get all conspiratorial about it, if I said that word right, it almost seems engineered, making people just lose their mind. And so they just like, I don't even know what to do. Everything is evil. Everything sucks. I'll just go out and take a bunch of people with me. It's a mental health issue. Thoughts about thoughts. Just women hoes. Um, yeah, it's unfortunate how many women are like that now, of course. But again, I always want to give a little slap towards the men at the same time. Thoughts about them, I don't want a woman like that. An unfortunate amount of women are like that. But again, how good are the men these days? And to be honest, if men just collectively sorted their shit out and said no to thoughts, it wouldn't be, you know, there wouldn't be any benefits to be a thought. It's really the thing with women. Women will behave as badly as men allow them. And, if men encourage bad behavior, they're going to keep doing that as well. And this is again my problem with MGTOW and Red Pill and that. There's so much complaining and pointing the finger at women, and absolutely, that needs to be done too. Women are a bit too coddled with these days, but it's like, look at yourself, bro. Be the example first, then, because so many guys tend to be like, oh, women suck anyway, so I'll just suck. I'll just suck. Thoughts on coding? Oh, coding. Yeah. You ever coded? And if so, do you think it's a good activity? I haven't really. I had one like course about that in journalism school, and I remember me and two other guys made a little game. It was like a game consisting of three games where you like challenged us, and I did this little snake game. I was mostly copying a code. I just went in and did little adjustments in it. I was so happy when I managed to add a little sound effect when the worm ate the apple and was like, uh, but I haven't done it much. No, well, sure, why not? Could be a good activity, good side gig, um, good way to be, run your own business, having that skill, being kind of a consultant, be good, can be stimulating activity for the brain too, I'm sure. Personal account. What do you think are the best jobs to have? I think that's too general of a question because it depends entirely on you, Like when I think about what I would like to do, that's not what I'm currently doing, personal training and online coaching, content creating like this, everything around it, Um, I would actually want to have more of an old school, like male job, like welding or something like that. And I think it just brings satisfaction for a man to be working with his hands, building stuff, Um, but really, it's whatever fulfills you the most. Like both that you feel like there's purpose to what you do, or that you at least enjoy it. Because I think that's one aspect to a job too. Sometimes maybe you don't like necessarily love your like work tasks, but everything around it, like the conditions you get, your colleagues, the pay. If everything is good enough like that, I think you can be happy enough with a job that doesn't exactly necessarily fulfill you like that. But I think it's too general of a question. It really depends. Like the best job for someone could be a terrible job for someone else, How many hours of screen time a day should someone have? That's a difficult one too, because it depends. So many jobs, again, you have to be at the screen. Um, I mean, I think I don't say a certain amount of hours. I think, be conscious of your usage. Try to decrease it if you can. Less is better, For me personally, it's so much depending on where I'm at in life. Like right now, I'm more in an input mode. I'm going to be more on screens, like watching things and reading things and that. And at other times, I really almost only do it for my own work stuff. So I think it depends on your life situation. I think less is always better if you can. Would you rather be friends with Shrek or Kung Fu Panda? Haven't really watched any of those, so can't really say. What is the best MMA sport to learn, or is that stuff stupid? It can cause brain damage. I've not done any of them, so I can't say which is the best one. But I think it's a great thing, and I want to. Right now, I'm still just so focused on my weight training um, that I don't want to take on anything that I think could interfere with it too much. But it's definitely something I have on my list that I want to get into some kind of martial art. Again, because I think this society is just overly comfortable. I'm not pro violence, as just war, a solution to things. But I just think it's in us men. We have that. We haven't, evolved far enough to just not have in us that. You see, I wouldn't be pro just being a violent person, but in other times you might just get into fights and not have anything to say about it. And I don't value that as good or bad. I just see that it fulfills probably some kind of purpose for men to be in like a fist fight every once in a while. Um, yeah, I hope you get what I mean with this. So I think in this overly comfortable world where men, like even someone like myself that trains hard, push, meditate, cold plunges, you want to do, you get tough and a badass in some senses, but you're still kind of soft in some senses. So I think a martial art is a great outlet for some of these things in a modern society. Um, and yeah, that's it, really. Do you think politics is generally a waste of time? Do you mean to follow them, or I mean, I when I follow politics, that I do to some extent. I read the news a little. I scroll on Twitter a bit. I'm not really active on Twitter. I mostly just that's where I kind of just consume. I get some news from that. I think the important thing is to be very detached from it. It's so easy to get so involved. I think you're smart because you know so much, and blah blah blah, and you get emotionally invested. On my side did this. Look what this side did, or look at how terrible the world is. Blah blah blah. You know, um, I think it's a waste of time for a lot of people. Yes, waste of energy, uh, even more so. But it doesn't have to be. I think if you can be involved and follow news and politics without having detachment to it, I think it's decent. Then I would say, of course, that it's an illusion many times to think that politicians that we vote for will actually change anything. You just get different shades of the same shit, really. um, so yeah, many times when people, oh, this time is going to be different. When we vote differently this time, it's never different. Um, have quite some stuff here. Tony Baloney. If someone has to lose the last 10 pounds, do you recommend fasting, working out, or a bit of both? I mean, working out always, of course. The question I think would rather be if I recommend fasting or daily deficit. And that really comes down to the individual. If you think it's easier to eat a bit more, but then not eat at all for a few days, then probably fasting is better. If you find it easier to be eating every day, but you can then hold back a bit on food, then have the daily deficit. Working out always. You never stop that, whether you're bulking or cutting. You just, you know, have different goals and different capacity. When you're cutting, you can't expect to make as much progress. You can with some things sometimes, but it's more about maintaining when you're cutting. When you're eating more, you're still training. In both cases, you're giving it your all. It's just that you know that you're going to be able to build more muscle when you're eating more. But you could fast, you could do a daily deficit. It really comes down to your preference or what would be easier for you. Thoughts on Jimmy Åkesson? Not too many these days. I mean, I say I follow politics a bit, but not much these days. Like really, like not the way I used to. I'm not so up to par with Swedish politics at all. I mean, gotta give the guy credit, of course. He's worked hard. It's a lot of the opinions that him and the Sweden Democrats have, or what they say, is more widely accepted these days. It of course takes a certain level of bravery to speak when you're a complete minority and everyone is just like you're racist, you're a Nazi, you're evil. Still stand by it. He's done a good job. Um, and I want to be clear that when I talk about things like this, it doesn't mean that I just love the Sweden Democrats. This is the thing, in society, that people are so black and white. You're either on the good side or you're on the evil side. And I can have an opinion about something and don't feel like I take sides at all, really. No, but of course, I think he has done a good job bringing up uncomfortable truths, unpopular, politically incorrect opinions. Especially, I would say now he did more earlier in his career. That's more impressive than he's doing now, really. If you had to pick a different country to live in, where would you live? I don't know yet. It would probably be. I went to Greece there just to try it out. Um, it would probably in my current, like when it's just me like it is right now, probably a southern European country because I like Europe. I could just a little different culture, little different people, and a bit more sun is something I could use. So if not Greece, it could be Spain, something like that. I have a friend who is testing living in Portugal for a while now. See what he thinks about that. But probably Southern Europe. It would be my answer right now. See more people, like if you haven't. Keep bringing some questions. I have quite a few to work through here. Um, Do you think if men started acting masculine, women would follow and clean up their act, or vice versa? If women started acting feminine, men would become masculine again. Yeah, you know, to be honest, it's always up to men to go first. So that's why even more I don't like the red pill shit and stuff, because it's like they're, if only women were better. I don't think we're equal. I actually talk about all the time how men are more capable and that, but I would still hold women to the same standard. I still expect women to change before I do. The kind of attitude. And so, of course, because this is something I say too, because women love too to just complain about, oh, where are all the good men, and then just go be a dumb slut. I don't like that either. But I definitely think it's up to men to go first. But definitely, women, if you want to encourage and inspire true masculinity in men, you have to be true feminine, vice versa. So I definitely think we need to hold both sides accountable, but then I would always say it's up to men to go first. Be the bigger person like that. What's worse, being a simp male or a loose woman? Hmm. I mean, different kinds of simps, I think. I mean, it also it is difficult, because these two create each other in a sense, But I don't know whether I can say that one is worse. Neither is good. Thoughts on long hair versus short hair. Native Americans say the hair works as like antennas for electricity and make you more in tune with the world. Yeah, I've heard stuff like that too, like spiritual talk, that your hair is like your antenna. Um, I mean, I recently, if you see, I got a haircut this week, and I asked on my Instagram. I was like, do I get an actual hairstyle or do I go Tarzan? Because a part of me just wanted to let it grow, but at the same time, it's so annoying. I have really good hair, really thick hair. So every morning it just looks like a bird's nest. And the vote came out in favor of cutting it, so I cut it. I don't have much thoughts on it, to be honest. What do you think happens in the afterlife? Reincarnation, heaven, etc. Well, I sure as hell. It's been a thing. I've been thinking about these things a lot this year. I mean, to be honest, I don't want to sound negative because you can find a lot of beauty in life on Earth. But to be honest, I kind of hope you're done at that point, And I mean, when you go by like these near-death experiences, they seem to kind of return to source consciousness, in a sense. Um, but the question is, something I'm considering if there's really not so much that we all have souls, but it's actually the same soul peeking out through different windows, and there's this just perceived separation that needs to happen, but that it's all really the universe. So reincarnation, I might be everyone on Earth right now, It's just that from here, I'm just experiencing the perspective of Theo, but and if that's the case, there's just really one. It's like we're all one schizophrenic person just interacting with itself all the time. uh, so I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's kind of like we actually are different souls that, and might have to reincarnate, learn some lessons. But I would hope that you reach a point where like, okay, you're done with the school of Earth. Now you just go back to source, and it's something like nirvana or something, just existing in a state of just being love. Have you heard of Emanuel Swedenborg? I have not. Street monk. That cosplay guy, Inquisitor, hanged himself because of false allegations from a minor bitch. Ghost ignore block gents, never let a bitch ruin your life. Yeah, it's fucking tough lessons we women we have to learn, definitely. And I haven't heard about that story you're telling, but that's awful, of course. Do you do any posture exercises? Um, like this is a thing. I do, but I don't view it as posture exercises, you know. Do different hip hinges, different deadlift variations that I don't do specifically deadlifts right now, but that will improve your posture, you know. You're standing upright under resistance. When you train your upper back, the rear delts a lot, you know, you're pulling your shoulder blades back, strengthening everything in the back there. When you do deep dips or push-ups, you're stretching out muscles here, also contributing to that whole thing, you know. So yeah, I do, but I don't view it as that. It's my style of bodybuilding where I really try to cover muscle strength and sort of like functionality, flexibility at the same time, you know. So yes, I do, but it's more as a part. It's more, what's the word? Embedded into my regular training. If you had cancer, would you rather do chemo or do alternative lifestyle to try and fix it? I heard a guy who got cancer once, ate like 30 apples a day and different stuff and became healed. Well, I would definitely go to more natural route first. I mean, I would like to believe that I'm living a lifestyle so I won't really get cancer if I just keep going with it. Like the fasting every once in a while, minimizing junk, exercising, getting fresh air, sunlight, all that shit, you know. But yeah, I would definitely, you know, fasting in a keto diet or something. It would be my first thoughts. I would, of course, at that point, I would read up a lot more on what I should be doing. But I would definitely try to milk everything natural before trying something like chemo. What do you think your IQ is, and what is your thoughts on IQ and measuring intelligence? Do you believe it can be measured? Uh, I think when I did IQ test a long time ago, I think it's like over 130 at least. I'm not sure if I'm on Mensa level because that's 135 or something. Um, yeah, 130 plus, I think I have. Um, and if I think it can be measured, look, of course, the IQ test wasn't made by God, so it's not perfect, you know. But there, you can definitely see correlations between IQ and certain traits and behaviors and that. So it says something. It measures something that is significant, but that doesn't mean that it's a perfect measurement. I'm sure it gets some individuals wrong. I'm sure it doesn't. Capture every aspect of intelligence, but it doesn't mean that it's not meaningful. That doesn't mean anything at all. This is interesting. Reflection. Hey, how could I achieve deep six-pack abs like yours? Long walks, calorie deficit, calisthenics, resistance training is good enough. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you have to get down to a low body you know, the lower body fat you have, the deeper they get, right? Because like even with me now, I can really see myself right now if I bring it up there. Look, I have decent abs still. It's pretty good lighting here too, but I'm up to 90 kilos now. If I lost like 7 kilos, it would be like much more chisel, of course. um so, you know, lower body fat will make them deeper, but also, of course, building the muscle bellies, the actual ab muscles. I have a video on ab training. You know, it's recent, so you probably find it if you just go browsing. But it's a six-pack abs complete guide, something like that is what it's called. So yeah, calorie deficit and walks might help you get down. You know, calisthenics, sure, you activate the core more than in not more, but than in many exercises that you could do, and resistance training for the abs specifically. And not doing these just like 6-minute ab circuits where you just make it burn a whole lot, but actually finding ways to weight the exercises and apply a progressive overload, you know. So yeah, developing the ab muscles and getting down to a low enough body fat percentage will make him deep. Tony Baloney says to personal account, let others get some questions in. You know, I like it right now. He said here, he said I could ask many questions. Yeah, you know, I, I can prioritize some other questions for a bit, but right now, since the stream is small, I just appreciate it. Mm, mm. I will. We have a few from personal accounts, so let's go down to here. Take a few other ones. Reflection. What do you think of the simulation theory or NPC theory? I think there are many conditioned program people out there. Well, I think you're asking about two different things at the same time here. You know, that would be the other thing. If this universe isn't like all there is, then we're probably in a simulation. But simulation, what does it even mean? You know, because again, we could be like, if we're all part of God, you know, we could be like the person that created a simulation for ourselves, but we could also actually be in a simulation that other human beings are running to see whatever they're trying to see, right? Very often, what they do in simulations, of course, is trying to like prevent some future disaster. They simulate something, see what happens, you know, and see if they can draw any conclusions to prevent certain outcomes in reality. But that I just don't know, you know. But the NPC thing is, of course, that a lot of people are very, yeah, just programmed. You know, a lot of people, they have not, like some of us that actually look at the world, no matter what's, like if something is popular, sometimes we might have like, okay, since a lot of people like that thing, I might do that too. But we're not like, because a lot of people like that, I like that too, you know. We some of us, we actually look at things and be like, what do I think about this? When I look about this, when I get what conclusions do I draw about this? But a lot of people are just like, well, the newspaper told me this, so yeah, this is my opinion now. This is the way I look at the world now. There's a lot of people like that. And you know, I think it probably there's always been a bit like that. There are more like leader personalities. Like I would call myself, you know, it would make sense with a one-man YouTube channel and being a coach and all that shit, you know. But I've also never really been a conformist, you know. Like, of course, you feel peer pressure, and sometimes you might act when you're younger, according to. But I was not someone. Some people, they seem to like actually just assume the views of the group, you know, like they don't even think about it. And I think there's probably always been a bit, things have been a bit like that, but especially now, like in school, we pretty much learn to not question authority and learn to memorize things and say the things that will please the teacher, the authority, you know. We learn a lot that we need to just go along with whatever is presented to us. Don't be a critical thinker, don't have too much opinions of your own, don't do anything that's different to the herd, you know. We're very much like brought up like this, and a lot of people are like that. Like, so I think the NPC and simulation thing are two different things. There are definitely people that it's like they literally don't think. They think that they think, but they are just experiencing a lot of thoughts that were planted there. They're not really interacting with them and questioning them like that, you know. Do you, let's see here. Mm-mm. So Tony Baloney asked, what would be a good natural way to increase testosterone? Lift weights, eat meat, eggs, liver, fruit, honey. Never mind about this hand. Get sunlight, sleep well. Boom. Those are you know, there are little supplements you might be able to take and shit like that, but really when it comes down to it, just nailing the fundamentals. Like when I tested my testosterone, it was 891 nanograms per deciliter over 2 years ago now, most likely just better, higher now. This is really all I've done. I mean, fasting helps too. I think it does help in the short term, as during the fast your testosterone tanks, but afterwards it goes up above baseline, but then it seems to go down a bit again. But I think if you're someone like myself that has just implemented fast, not fasting all the time, but having these periods when I do it more, I think that helps. think the cold exposure helps, but really, like smashing workouts, weight training, building muscle, eating a good diet with, like I said, meats, eggs, liver, fruit, honey, sleeping well, getting sunlight. There's going to be the most important things, always. So I have tons of questions from personal account again, but here because someone else interacted with it. Do you think sugar is healthy? And then not exist. YouTube said that sugar is not healthy. It's just the trash that you're consuming. When I left having sugar, I lost my 3 kg of fat in just 15 days. Yeah, and you couldn't have done that eating sugar. Why not? Why not? The sugar just magically break the laws of thermodynamics. If you eat in a deficit and you eat sugar, you still get fat somehow? Or how does that work? Because I'm not against sugar. Like these hyper processed foods with a ton of added sugar and just a ton of other shit, yes. But natural sugars like fruit and honey, great, good stuff. Why would it taste so good if it wasn't good for us, you know? It's about the quality of the sugar, and of course you could. Some people, I know people have overeaten on fruit and shit too, but it's not the sugar that's the devil. As with so many things, the poison is in the dosage. But I've enjoyed having fruit, honey, orange juice in my diet for a long time, and yeah, it's great. That's my thought on sugar. Just stay away from the hyper processed crap. Natural sugar, no problem at all. Mm, it's okay. What do you think about pit bulls and such? They are violent dogs. If your neighbor had a tiger, you'd maybe want them to be trained and have a license, but pit bulls is okay going for everyone. Don't have too much of an opinion. I see what you're saying there. I don't know enough about pit bulls. If they are so like intrinsically super aggressive, uh, no, I would prefer another dog. um, Do you think while guns should be allowed, it should be mental health tests before people can buy one? Maybe, but I'm not like if a person is just like the wrong kind of person could probably pass that test still. So that it sounds good. Of course, we want people with good mental health to be the ones with the guns, but I'm just saying I'm not sure if the test would work so well. Um, the questions, funny questions. Would you rather have a thought daughter or a gay son? Mm, it's a difficult one. Uh, I mean, I've clearly failed as a father, no matter what. You know, wow, I have to think about that. But it's pest eller cholera, so, as we say here, asking me to pick between shit and vomit, basically. I would love them either way. I'm trying to, who do I think I have the best chance? Like, who could live a better life? Who could, I mean, it's so difficult. I can't pick. That's funny. First you made a snake game, now you made a snake diet. Yeah. Oh, wow. How much water should someone drink a day, in your opinion? I think it's a debated topic. It doesn't matter. Just drink when you're thirsty. You'll be fine. Have salts too. It depends so much. It's this just weird that it's like you need to be drinking this amount of water. If you're having to struggle with drinking all that water, whatever amount someone recommended to you, and you're struggling to get it in, you don't need that water. You'll just pee it out anyway. You have the ability to tell if you're thirsty. Use that. And I always say too, if it's a really hot summer day and I'm out sweating, I have a sauna, I'm gonna need a lot more water than if I just be inside fasting on a winter day. So it depends so much on what you've done, and I think you'll be able to tell if you're thirsty, you know. And this is too, Vertigo Stan Efferding. It's some kind of expert he always cites, but she says pretty much what I said here. Do you think it's good to avoid people with bad habits so they don't rub off on you? I mean, it's you have to have boundaries. Some people, maybe you can't allow them in your life at all because they affect you too negatively. But you know, I am friends with some people that have worse habits than me, and I let them, you know, when it's within reason, I let them do their thing. If they don't try to push it on me, you know, I don't try to push anything on them. So it's a balance. If you feel bad being around someone, or if you feel like they push you towards worse habits, then I think you shouldn't be around them. You can put boundaries with some people. You can be around just less than you used to, or something. What person do you respect the most? I don't know, man. I don't really know. Respect the most. You know, I'm not really the one to have like one idol like that. There are people I look up to and that. I mean, I can say someone I respect, but I can't say that it's the most or anything. But Wes Watson was my coach for a while, has the YouTube channel GP Penitentiary Life. I think he's very respectable in the way he conducts himself and lives his life. He's so open about himself and how he does things, and it clearly is just working so well for a man. He's also someone with like intense trauma, you know, been in prison for 10 years and shit, the worst kind of prison, and still manages to do so well. So I respect that, the just relentlessness of what he does. Do you think most fetishes and kinks are unnatural and stem from porn addiction? I would say so, yes. Like, because most of them you can't find any logical, like, it doesn't make sense, you know, to be interested in feet or some shit. Reflection. Oh, no, no, then we have had that one already. What do you think about 4chaners and Redditors and stuff? It's like too general. I've seen funny stuff on 4chan and Reddit. I've seen cringe stuff. I don't know, man. 5 times Mr. Olympia C bum not exist YouTube just said in the chat. I don't know why. Personal account. By source consciousness or nirvana, I'm guessing that's sort of like heaven. Yeah, and that's the way I viewed heaven. I don't really think that it's like, oh, look, I died and now I wake up wearing this like white robe and I'm walking on a cloud or something. No, I think heaven is more like, you know, you're removed from your dumb little ego and attachments here on earth and just go back to consciousness, you know. You just experiencing bliss without any like verbal thoughts or feelings like that. I think yeah, something like that. Yeah, natural is legit, but not that refined sugar and othron. Yeah, glad. Then we are in agreement. And Ajit Netke said, knowing is easy, doing is hard. 100%. Reflection. What advice do you have for an early 20-year-old? It depends on where you're at in life and that, of course. But you know, work on yourself, fitness, absolutely. I mean, you're early 20-year-old. I was 25 when I started with all of this, like training, fitness stuff. But definitely, just build your habits with that. So you have a solid foundation for the rest of your life. Work on yourself. Don't worry about women too much. Work on becoming a man that is deserving of a good woman. You know, don't chase that. Pursue some kind of passion. You know, may that be a professional one or something outside of that. Um, but yeah, like I think the thing about life is we have a lot of time, but we don't have quite as much time as we think. So you know, if you're here watching this channel early and stuff, just work on yourself, develop yourself in every aspect, Let the other stuff, like a girl and stuff, appear later. But yeah, fitness, 100%, and pursue some kind of passion, may that be professionally or otherwise. How to increase height after 18, not this is YouTube. Don't worry about it. Have you been here asking about height before? Because I recognize your handle, and I remember someone asking like, how do I get taller? I think working on accepting your current height and develop yourself in every other sense is the way to go. It's kind of like with the transgender stuff, right? Like just work on accepting reality rather than mutilating your body and trying to pretend you're something you're not, right? Okay, guys, gone past the hour. Just worked through all of this shit. Guess I'll keep the other written down stuff for another stream. But thank you, guys. Thanks for all the questions. Yeah, I will see you next Sunday, 5 p.m. And in videos in the week. As you see, not exist YouTube. My height just stopped increasing all of a sudden after 16. Sounds natural. Sounds like what happens. I don't think I've gotten any taller since then either, you know. Work on acceptance, bro. Okay, guys, I will see you later. Peace.